This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, here we go. Ira Winderman, how you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
You know what? I'm feeling almost as anxious and uncertain as I've been on every time I've come on our Acura Pembroke Pines reports on Monday and Friday, because Big O, getting a read on this team, getting a feel for where this might be headed. Hey, it's sort of like what you're talking about when you're talking about your Bitcoin and your crypto. It is such a speculative market on the Heat. The Heat are up. The Heat are down. We just can't get a read. And you know what it tells us? The Heat are right in the middle. They're a mediocre team.
Yeah, that's what they are. There has been no up at all season. It's been a mediocre team all year long. You can't shoot threes. You know the loss in Cleveland last night, 2 nights ago, and I got to tell you, when I hear Jimmy talk, well, I don't look at the standings, and oh, are we in the play-in game? Come on, man. I mean, are we stupid here or something? He knows where they stand. There's conversations in that locker room. The coach has got to catch their attention, tell them, hey, we're way down in the standings here. We're going to be playing extra games for no reason at all. It's just, sometimes I just wish people wouldn't treat us as, it's like Bill Clinton telling us, oh, I didn't inhale. I mean, come on, bro. I'm not stupid. I wasn't born yesterday. And some of the things that Jimmy has said this year with we're getting bored with the process and all this other stuff, sometimes I really question what the hell is really going on in that place.
I would put it this way, as opposed to other years, and I know this will sound harsh if it's aggregated, but I'm not sure they care that much. And by that I mean I think Jimmy has seen the Heat pattern of struggle in the playoffs, then Jimmy arrives, you make the NBA Finals, then you get swept in the first round, then you go to the Eastern Conference Finals, then you have an off year. I think Jimmy sort of accepts it as it's going to be an every other year experience here, number one. Number two, you get a player like Bam Adebayo. What was his real goal entering the season? Get more shots, become more part of the offense, and keep campaigning for that damn Defensive Player of the Year award. He's checked some boxes. What was Tyler Hero's goal for entering the season? He wanted to be an NBA starter. He checked that box. What was Victor Oladipo's goal entering the season? He wanted to be noticed again as having his moments. He's created his moments. And I'm not going to get to Kyle Lowry because I'm sure you will. But what I'm saying is...
And by the way, Oladipo hasn't done anything except prove once again he's still... I disagree with you on that. He's unreliable.
He is, but that's what I'm saying.
He continues to be unreliable.
He's created moments. In other words, I always joke when I go out and play tennis and I get whacked 6-1, 6-1, I can still put together a highlight film because I hit 6 good shots. So I can give that to the 6 o'clock news and not look terrible. I think that's where Victor Oladipo is. He can have 4 bad games, and then he has the game like he had the other day, coming back, before the Heat played Cleveland. And you look at him and you go, oh, Victor Oladipo is back. He can get it done. Look what he did. That's where the Heat stand right now, is they stand as a team that it just seems like the winning is not the be-all, end-all. You know what, Big O? It's that phrase the Heat always use. The main thing being the main thing. Big O, I'm not so sure this season that the main thing has been the main thing for the Miami Heat. I think they look in the mirror and they realize, you know what? Boston's better. Milwaukee's better. Philadelphia is better. We could bang our head against this wall all we want, but we're not a top 2 and not top 3. Honestly, the way the Nets and Knicks have played, the Nets for a stretch, the Knicks now, and not top 4 or top 5 team. I think it's dawned on the Heat in these 4 months into the season, they know who they are.
So in other words, the season's over.
The season is The season is headed to the exact conclusion that we all see right now. Go to the play-in round, maybe escape the play-in round, get waxed in the first round. Unless they somehow can conjure a way to play Philadelphia and regain their mojo like they did in the second round last year, yeah, that's where it's headed. You know what? You don't have – it's just like you speculate on all your cryptocurrency. You are not buying Miami Heat stock now that it's down. It used to be people, they're down, they're number 7, they're going to come back up. Now's the time to bet the championship odds. No one's doing that. The Heat are who we thought they were 2, 3, 4 months into the season. It's just the reality. They'll finish among the top half of the teams in the NBA. That's not what they play for. So I think there's almost a thought of, okay, let's move on to the next thing.
So will this team be blown up in the offseason?
It's not as easy to blow up. It's kind of interesting looking at what the Dolphins did today with Tyreek Hill and restructuring his contract. In the NFL, you can create money out of nothing. You can move things around. The NFL might talk about a hard cap and all that, but there's much more freedom, especially Big O with non-guaranteed contracts. So there's two questions you're really asking me here. Should the Miami Heat blow it up? Yes, I agree with Orlando Alzugaray on the Acura Pembroke Pines report. Can the Miami Heat blow it up? Not so easy, my friend, in today's NBA. Because can you get a taker for Kyle Lowry? Can you get a taker for Duncan Robinson? Can you replace Gabe Vincent and Max Strus so you don't overpay them and find value when you have no freedom other than the taxpayer mid-level exception? That's the deal. And can the Miami Heat moving forward with the contracts of Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and maybe, although probably, Kyle Lowry on the books get anything more out of their roster? Man, Andy Ellisberg might be the wizard of the cap. He might have gotten Jimmy Butler with absolutely no cap space available, but I'm not so sure that this isn't Andy Ellisberg's biggest salary cap challenge he's had since becoming the Miami Heat's general manager.
You didn't mention Jimmy Butler. Is that because it's going to be impossible to find a team that will take him?
I didn't mention Jimmy Butler because he has achieved and maybe even overachieved this season. I know, Big O, you're going to harp on me on the 15 games missed. There's been none missed since mid-January. He busts his ass every night. He's what I want to see, if I was a fan, as someone who watches their games as an NBA insider or expert. Jimmy Butler gives you everything he's got. Now,
I'm not arguing that.
This is just like your crypto discussion before I came on. You always bet on the future, Big O. So I understand when you buy something at a penny and it goes up to 9 cents, you're 9 times stronger. I get that. I'm saying in the moment when we're talking about failure or non-failure, Heat report card, we'll certainly get to that on our Acura Pembroke.
By the way, Mark Cuban is one of the owners in that company.
Yes. So, okay. So then you're in a good place right there also. So I can't wait to see you on Shark Tank one day, Big O. But that's another story. When you go in front of the Sharks there and go.
Listen, I'm looking into this company and I'm looking at all the owners and I look and I go, son of a bitch, he's in this thing. I'm in.
No, I want to see you walk in front of. I want to see you walk in front of Mr. Wonderful and going, I've left terrestrial radio. I've created a product like none other in my market. We go national and have international followings. Sharks, I'm going to offer you a one-time deal, and then I want to see how much you get out of them. So I'll wait for that. And when you get your payoff from Mark Cuban there, we can talk more Mark Cuban.
Mr. Wonderful isn't very loved in the crypto circles nowadays with a lot of his deceiving stuff that he did with FTX. But anyway, you were saying on the basketball side.
I was saying on the basketball side, Jimmy Butler's had a really good season. And Big O, you speculate on the future. I get that.
I worry about that. That's what I worry about.
We've seen older players, certainly. We saw Tim Hardaway back in the day. We're seeing Kyle Lowry right now. I get that. But if anyone is committed to not look bad, to care every moment he's on the court, it's Jimmy Butler. I always use this phrase. You can argue whether Jimmy Butler's a great teammate or not, flying out to LA on his day off, some of his other adventures, Argentina, South America on the All-Star break. Jimmy Butler is a great game mate because when Jimmy Butler is on the floor and playing, he will do whatever he can to his every last ounce of breath to get that win. So, no, I'm not questioning Jimmy Butler from this season. You're in the speculation business. I get that. But living in the moment, Jimmy Butler has done everything and more that's been asked of him this season.
I have no problem with what he's done this season. I don't like the amount of games he's missed because I think it's kind of a trend that's going to continue the rest of the way. I just worry about a body that is clearly breaking down. And he puts a lot of wear and tear on that body because when he plays hard all the way through. And his game is a physical game. He has no finesse to his game. Whereas, Dwayne Wade, as he's getting older, he's got the fade away. He's got the little, what's that, when he would drop it in from
the floater?
That floater.
Right.
He did things that he developed a mid-range. He did things to keep himself a little bit more fresh instead of, what is it? Go drive 8 times, fall down 7, or whatever the hell that commercial was.
Fall 7 times, get up 8. No, I get
Yeah,
all that. He gets to the foul line.
Right.
I still
And
think
Jimmy doesn't have that part of his game to help him age gracefully. His game is going to be he's the smaller version of Moses Malone. That Moses Malone, as he got older, he was just right under the basket and he was just bodying people and just getting his points. And so to me that doesn't translate well to the future, and I worry about that. And if I'm the Heat, see, I've always said this. The day they acquired Jimmy, I said, you have to go acquire a star that's better than him. And they were never able to do that, unfortunately. And if Jimmy continues to decline, because that's the only natural thing that's going to happen over the next couple of years.
You're saying, Big O, you're saying continuing to decline. That decline hasn't started yet. It hasn't started yet. I know it sounds weird to you because I understand I'm saying he's only missed 15 games.
And how many more victories would you have if he played those 15 games?
But that's not today's load management NBA, and it's not just Jimmy Butler. It's Joel Embiid with his injuries. It's James Harden missing time, not even getting to Kyrie, or your favorite KD. It's just where the league is right now. You signed to play 82. You actually play 67. It's where they are right now. And I'll tell you one thing about Jimmy. Jimmy is a basketball savant. He is a basketball genius. I think if anyone can figure out a way to do it, it'll be Jimmy Butler. Does he need help? Sure. But you know what, Big O? The Heat said, here's your help. His name is Bam Adebayo. Here's your help. His name is Tyler Hero. Good, but not good enough.
By the way, Bam shot only 11 times against Cleveland. I need more than that.
And rebounded only once. Look, I chronicled that today in today's Sun Sentinel online yesterday. That's not acceptable. He said the rebounding gods weren't with me. Everyone is entitled to a one-off.
What the F, dude? What the F? No, you're not entitled down the stretch when you're playing for your playoff lives. You got to come through. You got to win. You're home. This is kind of what we've talked about. Okay, you're home for a stretch here. Take advantage of these games, and you let that one slide.
Absolutely.
Bam cannot have an off night. That's not acceptable.
And we'll see tonight. And we'll see tonight.
Yeah, he's got to shoot more too, man. Stay in the 18-20 range like you were before, man. They need you. They don't have enough offense. So his baskets are easy. And by the way, his baskets are easy baskets because he's such a talent that you can't stop his offense around the basket. He's awesome in that sense.
And he shot a high percentage, even though he took those few shots. But I agree. You know what, Big O?
11, man.
This comes back to what you and I say in our Acura Pembroke Pines reports twice a week. Also, Bam's a star. He's not a superstar. Could Bam get to superstar? I'm not sure. Same thing with Tyler Hero. Star, not a superstar. Superstars. Giannis wins the championships. LeBron wins the championships. Steph Curry wins the championships. I'm going to put Kawhi Leonard in that group. Kawhi Leonard wins the championships. Dirk wins the championships. Dwayne wins the championships. That's the thing. The Heat have some star players. There's a ceiling there. We'll now see if Jokic can break through the ceiling in the Western Conference. This league is about superstars. The Heat have given us some nice stars. That's where they are today.
What's the latest on John Morant?
You know what? This, I think, is a lot of behind the scenes, the league working not through the legalities, but the proper look in suspension or not. So he will not play through next week's visit here to Miami-Dade Arena when the Grizzlies visit. He's out another 4 games. Basically, the league is trying to reel him in. And they're just trying to come out with the best approach and basically a mental health work plan. I think the league realizes this. They were very fortunate to escape any criminal charges because it was just a social media post. They need him to get the hell off of social media. I also think they need to reel in his entourage and his family because that can't continue also. You know what, Big O? The NBA is all about image creation. They know they have some guys whose image aren't the best, and they try to rework and finagle that. I think that's what they're doing right now with John Morant. They're going, hey, kid, you have everything in front of you. You could have been the next Steph Curry. You could have been the next level face of the league. This isn't working. I think a lot of what do they call them in Hollywood, or like Ray Donovan, the fixers. I think the league's fixers are sitting down with him We'll make this guy disappear. We'll make this situation go away. We'll cleanse this on social media. And I think they really are almost like your computer re-imaging Ja Morant. And when you see him next time, it's going to be a completely different thing. May not seem so sort of authentic, but that's what this league does, is they reformulate personalities. You remember the evil LeBron the first season when he was the villain? And the NBA realized, hey, this doesn't work. You're one of our stars. Be the nice guy. And that changed. They tried it with Kyrie. They threw their hands up in the air. Now we'll see what they do with Ja.
Is this a massaging Michael Jordan thing that, nah, he's retired. He's going to go play baseball, but he's really suspended? And John Morant, well, he's taking some time away from the team, but he's really not suspended because the league hasn't really suspended him.
He's still gotten paid right through. This is the league dealing with the social media era. If Michael Jordan's card playing and golf gambling and all of that happened during a social media era, we would have seen it on Instagram. We would have seen it on Twitter. He couldn't have escaped. I think the league realizes the challenges are so much greater now. Everyone has a camera. Everyone has a phone. Every time Ja goes to a club, every phone in that building can be focused on him because, hey, there's some real TMZ money to be made there. So what the league is trying to tell him is, don't go to the club. Go home, at least for this season, maybe for next season. Now we'll see how receptive Ja is or isn't. We've seen NBA players who get it and stay out of trouble. And we've seen guys like Harden jetting off to Vegas and doing his thing because that's who he is. So it'll really be easy. It'll be fun to see how they try to massage his persona.
By the way, I scored big, okay, by investing in a Mark Cuban company early on under a penny, and it soared to 9. It's down to 4 now, but it's all right. I made my money. I took it out already. But and by the way, one of our listeners, Kyle Cockrell, says I got into Ali under a penny thanks to you. Right now, Mark Cuban's an owner of that company. Mark Cuban, is he happy about investing in the Kyrie coin? Because the results right now with Doncic and Kyrie in the same lineup, not so good, my friend.
No, they're going back to a 500 team. They don't have the support system. You know what? You might find Mark Cuban a brilliant investor in the markets, but his mistake with Jalen Brunson was probably one of the biggest boners pulled by NBA team, that they could have kept him, they could have signed him to a better extension, or they could have gotten him in the offseason instead of letting him walk to New York. Probably when you talk about bad moves in free agency, you can talk about the bad contracts, but sometimes it's the ones you let get away. Jalen Brunson is great. You and I both doubted him. We've spoken about it in our Acura Pembroke Pines report. We had doubts, bad contract, $100 million. Who is this kid? Jalen Brunson.
Plus, we thought he was benefiting from playing under the shadow of Doncic.
And he wasn't, because he's out of Luka's shadow and he's out of Julius Randle's shadow. And you can see the Knicks.
Exactly.
When he doesn't play, they lose to Charlotte. When he sits out the second half, they lose to Sacramento. So really, Mark Cuban, for all his good investments, he sold on something he should have bought on. So keep that in mind, Orlando Alzugaray.
And by the way, every time I watch the Knicks, Thibodeau, you could tell, loves that kid. Like, loves him. Like, you could tell him.
He's a great pickup.
I don't know if he's his favorite player, but I'm going to gamble that he's one of his two. If you cornered him and say, give me your 2 favorite players, I think Jalen Brunson is already one of his 2 favorite players on that team, because every time I watch him, there's this connection between these two, and it's almost like he enjoys playing for Thibodeau, actually.
Just like Jimmy Butler did. He drove Jimmy Butler's minutes into the ground, but Jimmy Butler didn't mind being driven into the ground because they had that common goal to win, right, whatever it took. You can just see that mentality. That probably was the best off-season free agency move. This summer, we'll see if the Knicks front office, if Leon Rose gets executive of the year.
So wait a minute. Kyrie didn't sign an extension with Dallas, right?
Correct.
What happens this offseason?
No, it's, Dallas sold their future when they gave up Dinwiddie, who was playing well with them, and they gave up, Dorian Finney-Smith, who was their top perimeter defender. Sometimes you sell your soul for the moment, and then you wind up with hard, difficult decisions. It's not only whether the Mavericks will re-up with Kyrie, it's whether Kyrie will re-up with the Mavericks. You just don't know with that kid. They took a chance on the ultimate, volatile stock, volatile crypto in Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, and it's funny because Brunson is a character kid, plays hard and tough, And Dinwiddie, pro's pro, dude.
He was with the first time with the Nets. He was with Dallas. He does what you want, but you search for greatness and you take chances in this league. Sometimes you get burned.
All right. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and follow his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Subscribe like I do so you can stay in touch with your Miami Heat. Ira, enjoy the basketball weekend. We will catch up on Monday, my friend.
Monday, right back here, 10:30 a.m. Acura Pembroke Pines Report. Thanks, Big O.
Thank you, sir. There you go. Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report. 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 and Pines. Man, it's a dealership it's the number one rated, it's the number one volume dealership in the United States. You know, I've been telling you about it, number one in the Southeast United States for years now, for like 12, 13 years. Well, now they're the number one in the country, man. I mean, that is just absolutely amazing. Get on down there. We got a service center led by Mike Chan and Jordan Ferber. They do excellent work. You're going to love those people there. So if you own or lease an Acura, great place to get it serviced. And, of course, they've got a large selection of brand new vehicles and certified pre-owned vehicles. Get on down there. Tell them that Big O sent you. Buy or lease at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.